from the unheard. Unheard. It's spelled herd like a herd of, buffalo or antelopes. I guess what they're trying to say is we're very individualist. Yeah, I bet you are. We're unheard. We're unherded. We are not a herd. We do not think collectively. We do not have a herd mentality. We are very free thinkers. Yeah, I bet. So there's Lauren Southern. She looks pretty good. Of course, you know she's caked on a ton of makeup. Don't you love this? She's out in the middle of the woods. Look at me, I'm a woodsy girl, because all conservative dudes, they wear camo half the time, and denim, and camouflage hats, and whenever they have free time, they're going to be out in the woods shooting deer. Yeah, it's a tired trope that she's trying to play into. Oh, but she's so authentic. Yeah, right. Okay, sweetheart. Yeah. So, Lauren Southern, how my trad life turned toxic. So, did it turn toxic? Or is the trad life itself toxic? The online ideology. See, this is the thing. So, the only ideology doesn't work in the real world. So, apparently, it didn't turn toxic. Apparently, the trad life is itself toxic, because here you go, it doesn't work in the real world. Why? Because it eventually turns toxic. It wasn't just her trad life that turned toxic. Oh, no, it's not her fault. It wasn't her relationship that went sour due to anything she might have done. It's just the very nature of the trad relationship itself, the tradcon lifestyle, that is flawed and doesn't work. Of course. Of course. And I love how they're applying a, very collective description of what the problem is, even though they claim to be unheard and individualistic. Of course, if they actually were that, then they might look at Lauren, and then they might have to blame her and blame the woman, and they wouldn't be able to indict all tradcon relationships and say that, well, all traditional conservative relationships don't work. Yeah. All right. Let's see what we got here. Some broad named Mary Harrington. Oh, God. Yeah, well, just looking at that little picture of her, yeah, looks like your typical feminist. And this is very recent, May 6, 2024. I know I'm still a little late commenting. Give me a break. I've had some issues lately. So it starts by saying, does promoting marriage and motherhood inevitably make women easy targets for subordinate status? What do you mean targets? So if you say targets, the language is very interesting. Easy target, and as opposed to a hard target. But targets of who? Men. Well, that's the implication. And subordinate status. So target. So that's automatically a negative connotation. Negative connotation, because, target doesn't sound good. You target deer, you target bears, you target prey right before you blow their heads off. Or, well, if you're talking about hunting, you're going to shoot them in the heart, the center mass. But anyway, yeah. So automatically, women are targeted. Yeah. If there's any kind of submissive status that could be had, might be wanted or desired by a man, that's wrong. And he's targeting women. Yeah. Does promoting marriage or motherhood inevitably make women easy targets for subordinate status? This is straight out of Feminism 101, Gender Studies, talking points. But she's a tradcon, huh? And make women easy targets for subordinate status, increase vulnerability, and return to a second-class status. Wait. I'm confused here. So they're equating being a mother and being married with being second class. But I thought the feminists weren't against marriage. And I thought that if you're a tradcon, you're for marriage, right? You want women to get married, right? That's the best place to be, right? Well, apparently not if you're the tradcon of Lauren Southern. There was no such thing. Well, I've been calling out for 7-8 years and pointing out what a chameleon she is. Well, the very first columns I wrote at Unheard back in 2019, old bitter broad, even more bitter now, described how, for me, becoming a mom, are you married? Or are you a single mom? I mean, giving up on a great deal of the liberal ideology I'd embraced when younger. Liberal. You mean doest thou wilt, under the law, you know, words from Satanism? Yeah, just do whatever you want. Doesn't matter. Unlimited freedom. Yeah. No temperance, no tolerance. Because it was impossible to square with the embodied reality of caring for a baby. These are feminist talking points, by the way. A relatively conventional home life turned out to be much more fulfilling than the radical one I'd adopted with my progressive politics. Did it? Are you married? Is this just cope? I don't hear her talking about a husband. By the way, what she's saying here seems to be kind of, it's not pro-marriage, right? She's just talking about having a kid. She's obviously anti-marriage. If you're going to have a kid, you don't need no man. You need a man like a fish needs a bicycle. Yeah. My accounts of questioning this individualistic ideology and embracing marriage, so you are married, but your article is anti-marriage in the title, and motherhood have resonated with social conservatives. Or is this Lauren Southern who's talking here? I don't know. Did Lauren Southern write this, and did she write for this Unheard? I'm not sure. The article says it's by Mary Harrington, so... Okay. Most of these, it goes without saying, feel as I do that family life and women's distinctive sexed realities, this is feminism speak. What do you mean sexed realities? Should be better understood and valued in the public conversation. Some, though, take more hardline positions that women should never work, for example, that we should always be submissive, or even that women's right to vote should be repealed. I thought you were a TradCon, Lauren. Don't you believe that? First of all, I don't say that women should never work. I think women, if they want... By the way, women have always had the option to work. This is such a tired trope. These old broads that started feminism, the whole suffragette movement, they were just a bunch of fat, ugly chicks. They couldn't find no man, and so they were bitter, and they wanted everybody else to be as miserable as they were. And they worked. So maybe you ladies ought to start seeing, some kind of correlation between working and unhappiness, since you're all on psychiatric drugs, and bitterly unhappy and bitter. Some, though, take more hardline positions, that women should never work, never said that we should always be submissive. You should. That's your natural state. You can't be dominant over a man. How can you be dominant over somebody who could rip your head off? Whenever they felt like it. I'm the dominant one in this relationship with this big 800-pound grizzly bear. Are you? Or is he just letting you think that you are because you give him treats? But the moment those treats stops, off with your head. It's one swipe of the paw. Really? Is that dominance you ladies think you have now real, or is it just an illusion? Or even that women's right to vote should be repealed. Well, that should be repealed, absolutely, because you don't have the same responsibilities as a man. Until you do, you shouldn't have the right to vote. But anyway, let's continue. But surely, any stance which risks lending momentum to such extreme arguments cannot be in a woman's interest. Who said these are extreme stances? Isn't that subjective? That is subjective and very relative. What do you mean? Why is that extreme? That depends on the woman, wouldn't it? And what she wants out of life, right? No! Even while we call ourselves unheard, we have a very strong herd mentality. I explored this question recently with the Canadian right-wing... Yeah, ain't nothing right-wing about her. Firebrand! Give me a break. Firebrand. Lauren Southern, whose early video content regularly challenged liberal feminist orthodoxy. No, it didn't! Get out of here! She only pretended to. Meanwhile, she's a big, giant feminazi. Come on. And promoted domesticity. Yeah, she just paid lip service. Meanwhile, she in no way, shape, or form lived her life to match her supposed beliefs. Our stories are symmetrical in some respects. Except she's attractive and you ain't. Both of us embrace radical politics. By whose estimation? Your politics are certainly radical. They go against human nature. In our early 20s. Yeah, she just pretended to embrace, she did embrace radical politics, just yours, while she pretended to embrace mine. But she's really just an opportunist. Yeah. Both of us embraced radical politics in our early 20s, me on the left and Southern on the right. Both of us embraced ideologies that felt inspiring in the free-floating world of the internet. Yeah, free-floating. That's your whole ideology, lady. Lawrence, too, by the way. And both of us, albeit in different ways, have course-corrected back toward reality. Right, a reality where you now claim that marriage is untenable. Tradcon lifestyle, anyway, within marriage is untenable. Okay, so this woman's not against marriage, she's just against Tradcon marriage. Well, if you're against a marriage where the man is the dominant and the woman is submissive, well, what kind of relationship are you for? Well, she'll claim that she's for an equal one with their partners. Of course, that doesn't work because then you have no leader and you don't have a tie-breaking vote. But what she's really about, what she really wants is matriarchy, where the woman is dominant and runs things. Yeah. But of course, she still needs men to enforce her supposed rights. Yeah. That makes sense. Anyway, yeah, you of course corrected back toward reality, huh? In part via the fiercely practical experience of caring for a child. Notice there's no husband mention. All right? Where's your husband, honey? If she was married, she's probably divorced by now, just like Lauren. Which is why she's saying they, of course, corrected back to reality. Yeah, we're in some ways the same. Yeah, you're both divorced. Because you couldn't make it work with a man. Yeah, but we should listen to you about relationships. Southern story might easily serve as a cautionary tale. Uh-huh. For how socially conservative talking points can lead women into danger. What danger? I love this! Is Lauren harmed? Is she missing limbs? Is she disabled in any way? What danger did she face? Well, these days women see harsh words as danger, so... You were mean to me! That's danger to them, I guess. Because their lives are so pampered and easy. Thanks to us, men. For where I lost my 20s to commune life, which is probably where she met her hubby. They're both probably Marxist commies, because, hello, commune. How did that commune work out? It didn't work out so well. You had a bunch of layabout bums who didn't want to do anything, and then you had a handful of people that actually produced more than they needed, and the layabout bums just leached off the productive people until the productive people got tired of being leached off of, and then they left, and the commune fell apart. Oh, imagine that. I guarantee you that's what happened. Yeah, which is why she's out here doing a semi-real job now. And niche sexualities. She left media at 22 to embrace a socially conservative template for women. Uh-huh. Yeah. Did she really leave media, though? I believe she continued to be an activist and work as a media personality. So I don't really think she left media. Not really. But anyway, the lifestyle often idealized by social media influencers as trad wife. Except it wasn't all 50s panoraphores and cute cupcakes. It was a living hell. Oh my, it was a living hell, really? Tell me how many times she got beat up. And locked in a closet. Oh, none? Oh. It doesn't sound like she's very strong and independent. He spoke mean to me. He was mean to me. Wow. That's so resilient, are you, Lauren? Nor, as she has learned, was she the only conservative woman in this position. So, trad marriages don't work anymore. I agree, by the way. Not with Western women, but they do if you get out of the country. Yeah. But of course, Lauren, because she can't accept personal responsibility because she's your typical modern-day Western female, i.e. feminist, even though she won't call herself that, that's exactly what she is. She's not compatible with a traditional conservative lifestyle. Absolutely not. Oh, but it's not her that's to blame. It's conservatism. Who listens to this broad? What simps out there are taking her seriously? Comparing our experiences, though, two things emerge. Firstly, that this is not simply a matter of the right being uniquely toxic for women. Really, the right is uniquely toxic to women. Yeah, okay. Although, as Southern Story reveals, there's plenty of scope for toxicity. Right, let's just take an isolated case. Even if we were to take everything that Lauren Southern says at face value, isn't that just one case? But they want to take that and conflate it to the tradcon lifestyle itself and blame that and not blame the individual. Because if they did that, then Lauren would have to take some blame as well, because these people love to say, it takes two to tango. Yeah. So blame the ideology, blame the lifestyle, and then, Lauren doesn't have to take responsibility. It's rather that purist ideologies as such map at best uneasily onto the practical realities of life as a woman, which are pretty easy. Don't you broads live on easy mode, especially if you're good looking? By the way, I never thought Lauren Southern was all that good looking. She was kind of pudgy when she was younger. She got a decent body now. She worked off some of that baby fat, but I don't think she's that attractive. I think that guys are just pretty thirsty, especially when they got a broad telling them what they want to hear. And especially as a mother. And secondly, that the simplifying, polarizing incentives baked into the contemporary internet are increasingly warping the ideologies of both left and right. Into such extreme forms that my sincere effort to apply these in real life will almost inevitably be the stuff of nightmares. Southern was perhaps the most telegenic figure. I don't know how to agree with that. In the brash, young, and very online alt-right movement, which emerged in the 2010s. I don't know. Supposedly she's made her birth certificate public, or people have seen it. I don't know if I believe it. I don't know that this broad, I don't believe that she's 28, going to be turning 29, like this month or next month. She looks way older. Quickly gaining international notoriety for her views on mass immigration, Islam, racially motivated farm murders in South Africa. That's still a big problem. And the supposed harms of liberal feminism, even though she herself is a liberal feminist. So interesting. Content that saw her accused by the radical left wing of the Southern Poverty Law Center. Self-appointed hate speech police who themselves are nothing more than disseminators of hate speech by their own definitions and logic. Center of racist dog whistling and even hovering at the precipice of outright white nationalism. The Southern Poverty Law Center's white nationalist? Really? Get out of here, you dumb broad. Yeah, dopey broad. Southern herself has always denied this, but that hasn't stopped her critics on the left accusing her of far-right agitation. Then, abruptly, she disappeared in 2019, claims to have been married. We'll take our word for it, just for the sake of argument, to embrace marriage and motherhood in her husband's home country of Australia. Somebody told me he was Filipino, or I don't know. I don't know what this guy was. Seen the kid, though. Anyway, she wasn't seen all set to embrace the nurturing, feminine, domestic role. Well, she wasn't. This is not a submissive broad, okay? Prompted by right-wing traditionalists, idealized by trad wife influencers. I wouldn't be surprised if she got into this relationship and this marriage and never tried to make it work, never expected it to work, and she just wanted the experience to turn out bad and probably did everything she could to make it turn out bad just so she would have some sob story years later. And criticized private progressives as dangerous and stupid. 4 years later, though, Southern caused a new round of shockwaves, this time with a video, which we're going to watch later, recounting what happened next. A breakdown of her, here it is, talking about dog whistles, abusive marriage. How was it abusive? It's going to be emotional abuse, right? Her return to Canada as a single mommy and a stint living hand-to-mouth in a cabin in the woods. What? Get the hell out of here. What do you mean living hand-to-mouth in a cabin in the woods? What a bunch of garbage, hand-to-mouth. Please. What nonsense. Southern has attracted vitriolic criticism from the right for speaking openly about her trad life, how it went wrong for her. She, however, sees speaking out not as a betrayal of her own side. It would depend on what she's saying and whether or not she's representing the situation as a personal failure of her own or an indictment of the lifestyle itself. She, however, sees speaking out not as a betrayal of her own side, but as continuous with her earlier willingness to challenge progressive consensus on topics such as immigration. I'm not worried about saying the things I'm saying right now. Yeah, well, that's because, they're a lot more popular now, right? A lot more people in the red pill space in the manosphere talking about how the tradcon lifestyle is not doable, is not feasible in the West. So, yeah, she, like I said, she's an opportunist. She goes through the wind blows, and not surprised that are getting me so attacked online. Ah, please. You wish you were getting attacked a lot. You want to get attacked because you want to be relevant. Because I've dealt with this with South Africa. I've dealt with it. You're such a victim with your millions of dollars. Get out of here. I've dealt with this with mass immigration. Yeah. The only talent is being moderately attractive. I've dealt with this with my critiques of feminism. Yeah, you're a feminist. What are you talking about? I've dealt with this with my critiques of feminism, and every single one turned out, oh, maybe she was on to something. You're just one of these broads, and there's so many of them, that just tells men what they want to hear. All you did was slept with a bunch of high-profile dudes. In my opinion, she banged Stefan Molyneux. We know she banged that Destiny cuck loser. We know she's banged a whole bunch of different figures in the conservative movement just so she could pick their brains and, mine them for ideas, idea mining, as it were. And, got what she wanted from them, got notoriety from them, got some clout because of some of them had very large social media presences. And then she just moved on to the next victim. She has no real talent of her own, except maybe as a parasite. She's a good parasite for sure. For she tells me she's not alone. She tells me she knows many other women still suffering. They're suffering, yeah, because the very nature of the trad lifestyle itself is one of suffering. Tell us, Lauren, why is that? Is it because it was always bad and evil and horrible for women, as the feminists claim? It was slavery. It was tantamount to slavery. If you were a wife, you were a slave. Or is it because of the change in mindset, the feminist change in mindset and worldview that women have eaten up? Huh? Which is it? She's not going to say. Yeah, still suffering in unhappy trad life marriages. Yeah. One of her WhatsApp groups, she says, is like the Underground Railroad. Oh, jeez. Yeah. Oh, you mean Underground Railroad? You mean slaves? I told you, she's a feminist. For women in the conservative movement, some of these are prominent media figures. There are a lot of influencers who are not in good relationships, who are still portraying happy marriages publicly. Well, yeah, they kind of base their careers on it, except for your dumb ass. I couldn't stay. He wanted me to actually be a mother and a stay-at-home mom and to, be the traditional conservative wife that I pretended to be online. He's so silly. What was he thinking? He must have known I would do a bait and switch. And bashing people for not being married while being in horrendous relationships. Yeah, and yet she can give us no names, no examples. Yeah. How convenient. She hopes that in speaking out, she can reassure all these women who are thinking in their heads, I'm uniquely terrible and I'm uniquely making a mistake, that no, something is more generally amiss. Oh, I see. This is giant cope for you, right? So the more women that I believe in my head are suffering because of this horrible, evil ideology, which I am implying there's always been horrible and evil and oppressive and tantamount to slavery for women, then the more it's not me and my fault. Yeah. What then is amiss? In her view, it's not the conservatism as such as fundamentally mistaken. No. I want to be able to continue to grift in the conservative space, so I don't want to blame conservatism fully. Or that complementary sex roles are unworkable. Really? Isn't that kind of what you just said? But isn't that the trad con lifestyle in a nutshell that you said is untenable? I guess she thinks most of the people that watch her are pretty stupid. Well, they'll probably think with the little head. But the online trad life ideology has distilled a version of these roles that's both rigid. Well, they're called roles. Wait a second, sweetheart. If they're flexible, they're not roles, you idiot. What is a role? I'm the leader, and you follow. It's very simple. I'm dominant, you're submissive. What do you mean flexible? Well, then they're not roles. She wants to have her cake and eat it too. Yeah. I want to have these roles, but in name only, and just pay lip service to them. But in all actuality, I don't want our relationship to be much the same as feminist ideology says it should be. So you're a big phony, a big fraud. And you live your life the same way that you portrayed yourself online. Just paying lip service and pretending you're something you're not. Ah, I see. Oh, and it's wildly oversimplified. Is it? Is it though? And thus woefully ill-equipped for real life. This is just critical theory attacks. I'm not seeing any... Why? Why? Where are the whys? Okay, why is it ill-equipped for real life? It's too rigid, oversimplified. These are very broad, very general critical theory type attacks that you see all the time when people attack capitalism. And yet they never have any specific arguments because they don't want to be held to task. They don't want you to be able to nail them down on what their argument is, because if you can do that, then you can rebut it. No, I got to be as vague and general as humanly possible, because I got nothing. In ways that pose significant risks for women in such marriages. What risks? Oh, give me a break. Give me a break. Yeah, because men are inherently evil, right? Yeah. The implication being that we're dangerous to begin with. Yeah, because that top 1% of men that make up the majority of the world's prison populations happen to be uber violent. Yeah, the other 99% are also violent by extension. You gotta love the womanese speak logic here. How then did Southern get from posting videos titled "Why I'm Not a Feminist" to defending women's sex-specific interests within family life? What does that even mean? Defending women's sex-specific interests within family life. Okay. This is, after all, not a million miles from what used to be called feminism. Feminism was never about defending women's sex-specific interests, because throughout human history, women's interests have been around the domestic and the home. Of course, a feminist would say, well, that's because the men imposed that on us. We never had a choice. So interesting when you go to countries like Nordic countries where women have more egalitarianism, more freedom to choose than any other country. They tend to go into careers that favor the traditional sex-specific interests. Imagine that. It's a long and bitter story that I'm not going to tell because I don't want to get into specifics, because then you could call me out, in which Southern did her best to live a purist internet ideology to the letter. I very much doubt that. If she had, her marriage would have worked out. Only to receive a grim object lesson in its shortcomings. Yeah. So it wasn't her shortcomings, right? No, she couldn't be to blame. She didn't do nothing. Born in 1995. I don't know that I believe that. Maybe 85. Southern grew up in British Columbia in a middle-class conservative Christian home. Yeah. Southern was, she recounts, part of the first generation to grow up predominantly online. Yeah. She and her sister, now a DJ and Twitch streamer. Sister is a DJ and streams on Twitch. Really? I don't know, aren't most of the broads on Twitch thoughts that pretend to be gamers and they're really just wearing scanty, tight clothes to get the donations? So, uber sex-positive feministas. Yeah, she grew up in such a conservative home. Yeah, it didn't rub off, apparently, on her or her sister. Twitch streaming DJs spent their adolescence in the kind of internet hinterlands where wild ideas flourish. I love the way this broad tries to use big words. I guess she thinks she's so intelligent. Yeah. Free of grounding in material reality or practical experience. Oh, maybe that's why her marriage didn't work out. She still continues to think that, the way she does, which is why it didn't work out. Here, once complex theories are swiftly distilled to their bare essentials for maximum viral reach. As Southern puts it, follow the listicle and you'll be fine. By the time she met her husband, who may or may not exist, she'd been condensing conservative values into listicle form as a media influencer for some years. Is that what we're going to call her, a media influencer? Yeah. To the point where it seemed possible to realize this framework in real life, too. Uh-huh. All right. Could you outline this framework? So notice they keep referencing, saying, making reference to, but they don't actually outline it. Probably because they don't really know what it is. This woman certainly doesn't. Could you steel man for us? Could you define what the tradcon ideology is instead of just using broad general terms that are kind of like dog whistles for the left that get them all in a froth and a fury like, woman's expected to be submissive, man expected to be dominant. That's about all you've said. That's been your total complete definition of the tradcon lifestyle. Of course, they're not going to go into detail because they're ignorant, both Lauren and this writer. So when marriage beckoned at 22, she tells me, Riley, I thought I won the lottery. Yeah, I doubt that. I don't believe that for a second. They were married within 4 months. Wait. Okay. First of all, Lauren tries to put herself forward as this grimly determined, pragmatic, practical woman who is very critical in her thinking and logical and rational. Well, what logical, rational, reasonable person gets married after 4 months? Are you stupid? 4 months is not enough time to get to know somebody. You're still in the honeymoon phase. The endorphins are still pumping. You've got the butterflies in the gut. You haven't gotten out of the honeymoon phase yet. You still have that, kind of mist of hormones and passion and lust blinding your vision and distorting your view of the other person. You can't really get to know them in just 4 months. Not just because of that, but certainly that is a contributing factor. You got to get out of that honeymoon phase, spend years with this person, then live with them to see what they're like to live with, and only then should you pull the trigger on marriage. If you're a man, you should never get married to a Western woman. But as a woman, you should at least be taking those kind of steps. And I would expect that if her parents are supposedly traditional conservative Christians, that they would have given her this same advice. Yo, you've only known this guy for 4 months. Maybe you should take some time. Maybe you should date him for a year or two. And then you should live with him. You should be trying out each more serious step until you are as close to being married status is humanly possible, but still not married, before you take that giant leap. But what did she do? Got married after 4 months. I'm starting to question her supposed Christian conservative beginnings. Arguably the equivalent of, for the right, of my left-wing embrace of communes. Oh! I love the equivalency she's trying to create here between, communes and getting married too quickly. They're both stupid ideas for sure. Anti-capitalist demos and niche sexual subcultures. She was quickly pregnant. Yeah. Was that her first time pregnant, though? Well, maybe not. We'll see. There were warning signs from early on. Okay. Like what? If I ever disagreed with him in any capacity, he'd just disappear. Why are you disagreeing with him? Your job is to support him, not disagree. Who the hell are you? I love this. I'm a tradcon. I like disagreeing with him. Why? Why are you disagreeing with your husband? That doesn't make any sense. So she's giving herself away right there. Again, a perfect example how she has no understanding of the tradcon lifestyle or her role as a submissive wife. He'd disappear for days at a time. Are you telling me that your husband, like if you said, I don't like the color of that room, I don't want you to paint it purple, I think it would look better pink, and he'd disappear for days at a time, really? I would love to hear this guy's side of the story, but conveniently, he's supposedly some kind of James Bond type figure, so, he exists in this Black Ops netherworld where he can't come forward and give his side. I remember there were nights where he'd call me worthless and pathetic. Were you? Was he right? Is there any, we only have her word for that, of course. This perhaps non-existent dude, or maybe he does exist. Well, we don't know if that's true. And even if it is true, that's totally completely taken out of context. Can you tell us why he said that? Oh, no reason. Because everybody runs around all the time calling people worthless and pathetic, and there's no provocation of any kind. You did nothing, I'm sure. Then he'd get in his car and leave. Yeah, this ain't adding up. So far, this makes no sense. Dudes don't just react to nothing. People react to something, right? What did you do or not do? But you didn't see them, thanks to the simplified anti-feminist ideology, right? As opposed to your actual pro-feminist one, even though you claim to not be a pro-feminist. Yeah, because you want people to know right to listen to you. Because you're just probably another controlled opposition shill working for the Obama administration, allegedly. She absorbed and promoted it. Oh, if I hadn't believed this simplistic ideology, I would have gotten out of this horrible, evil relationship a long time ago. Yeah. A relationship you should have never been in the first place. So maybe the problem was you weren't compatible with him, not the tradcon lifestyle itself being an actual problem. Except for someone like you who's a feminist. I had this delusional view of relationships. Was it delusional? Or is the view that you hold right now the actual delusion? That only women could be the ones that make or break them. What are you talking about? Yeah, this guy dumped her, by the way. In one of the top 5 feminist countries in the world. In a country more feminist than America. More feminist than the UK. Australia. And he dumped her. But I'm sure she did nothing wrong. And men can do no wrong. What are you talking about? That's it. That's a feminist talking point. That's a feminist talking point. Even on the right, men are blamed for everything. In fact, the tradcon view and the way and approach of these idiots that get the Daily Wire and your Ben Shapiro's and your Matt Walsh's, they blame everything on men. They never hold women to account. So what are you talking about? So this is gaslighting right here. So she didn't spot the red flags even as they grew more extreme. Right. Okay. You mean he was trying to tell you that he wasn't happy, and here's why, and you continued to be difficult and disagreeable and your typical feminist self, and things just got worse. Yeah. He locked me out of the house. What? How can he lock you out of the house? You don't have keys to your own house? How can he lock you out of the house? He would? How often did that happen? Did that ever happen? Does anybody believe that ever happened? And how many times? That might have happened one time. I don't believe this for a second. I remember having to knock on the neighbor's door on rainy nights. Oh, get out of here. What are you talking about? I'd love to talk to this neighbor. Can we have this neighbor's name? Can we have the address of where you lived? Oh, no. You just have to take my word for it. Because you get upset and drive off without unlocking the house. Well, how were you outside? What do you mean? He'd get upset and drive off without unlocking the house. You don't have keys to your own house? Something's missing here. How does a scenario come about where a woman with a kid doesn't have keys to her own house? This doesn't make any sense at all. He was too controlling. He didn't want me to have access to the house, so he was the only one that was allowed to have keys. Was that the case? She didn't think this through very well. It's very strange to go from being this public figure on stage with people clapping to the girl crying, knocking on someone's door with no home to get into, being abandoned with a baby. Oh, get out of here. About being dramatic. But as she tells it, the nightmare began in earnest when she was offered a work opportunity in his home country of Australia, a few weeks after the birth of their baby. Okay, so here's where you know she's not trying to be a tradcon wife, not trying to be submissive, not trying to be a mother, not trying to be a stay-at-home mom or traditional wife of any kind, and she's a big phony, a big fraud, a big fake, and the reason that this kind of lifestyle didn't work out for her is because she's a square peg trying to fit herself into a round hole. So she says she did not want to leave her support networks behind. Could you be more specific? No. But probably, translation, my male friends! And my former work and activism, even though now my job is a mother because I've chosen to have a child. So that stuff's got to go by the wayside. But he used the political and religious importance placed on lifelong marriage as a lever to force her to agree. Wait. Didn't you yourself agree to that when you got married, moved in with him, and had a child immediately? This ain't no, she's a big fraud. She wants to go get a job and work full-time and have a career, but also be a mother. What does that sound like to you? A traditional woman or a feminist modern woman? You'll be the judge. Yep, whenever I wouldn't do something, he would say, I'm going to divorce you. Right, you mean like the same way women use that cudgel against men? Because men actually have something to fear from divorce while you have nothing to fear from divorce? In fact, you're going to get cash and prizes when you get divorced? Oh, yeah. Lovely. So, feeling she had no other option, she assented. You had what do you mean? Oh, yeah, he had control over you, even though you had more power, more control, more choices. You had all these support networks, parents that would support you, help you live in a house, a cabin in the woods where you're living hand to mouth. Ooh, I was out like Davy Crockett hunting squirrels. Get out of here. He also insisted she should publicly quit work. Okay, the context that's being left out here is this dude she claims, is a federal agent, and he has a very sensitive job that has a high-level security clearance. So her publicly speaking about right-wing politics in a very left-wing country might jeopardize his livelihood that supports her and him and their household and that new baby. So, yeah, probably shouldn't do that, and you're a mother, so you should be staying home with your kid. But she wants to hire a nanny to take care of that kid so she can go out and work. Not very trad. And why are you having kids if you want to hire a nanny to raise them? And if you're saying, she never said that, yes, she is. If she's going to go out and work full time, who's going to watch the kid? His work required a high-level security clearance. She was a right-wing provocateur who had faced deplatforming state investigations and even been banned from entering the UK. Translation, her job, which she agreed to give up when she married him because it threatened his job, and she agreed to give it up so that she could be a stay-at-home mom 24/7, well, she decided to do a bait and switch, and then it wasn't really for her, and I want to change what we agreed to. And he didn't want to do that. But somehow he's to blame, even though it's her fault, because she agreed to one thing and then baited and switched him. Oh, okay, I see. In their early giddy romance, this had felt manageable. Yeah, the misty, distorted lens of lust and honeymoon period. Yeah, but when we moved back to Australia, he really wanted to get back into his old work. Right, because you're pregnant and you're going to have a kid. And he doesn't want strangers racing it, and you agreed to that. And so there was a hardcore liability. Were you, though, or did you make yourself a hardcore liability? I don't get this. You agreed to this. You agreed to be a stay-at-home mom. And he's a man. By the way, notice that women, when it serves them, when it benefits them, they want a dude to be the one out there working. They want men to adhere to their gender role and go out and work. Well, that's what he's doing. And he's supporting the family. And if he's making enough money to support her and a child so that she can stay at home and be a stay-at-home mom, he must have a pretty high-level security clearance and a relatively important job within the government bureaucracy. So he's kind of a catch in a way. I mean, government jobs, if they pay well, you've got all of those wonderful benefits as well. That's a wonderful pension that maybe she can get a piece of now. Yeah, I mean, he's a catch, but he saw me as a liability. Were you, or did you make yourself one when you refused to adhere to the role you agreed to adhere to when you married him? So the pressure was on. It was like, Lauren, you got to hire lawyers. You got to disavow everything. You got to never talk publicly again. Did he say that? Huh? Did he actually say that? By the way, why couldn't you do that? I mean, your job is a mother now. You've got the most important job on the planet. And you're supposedly a more traditional woman, right? Don't you want to raise your own kid? So in 2019, she announced she was leaving media and activism altogether. Activism. Give me a break. As Southern tells us, she was trying sincerely to put into practice the ideology she promoted in her videos. Yeah. She wants to be the one wearing the pants. If she had been in charge, she'd have been okay. Yeah, but he wanted to be in charge. No, 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 no. I want us both to be in charge, meaning I want to be in charge. And he's not a weakling simp, so he wouldn't agree to that. And he divorced your ass. I believed I had a certain role in my relationship, and it was to be the more submissive one that supported my husband's dreams. You mean the husband that you constantly disagreed with? And yeah, okay. How much more is there to this? Oh my God, this is too long. Okay, that's enough, man. Wow, I can't do no more. So this is just a massive cope. This puff piece is nothing more than a way to attack traditionally conservative marriages and critique them with critical theory attacks, but to give no viable alternatives from two leftists, one pretending to be a conservative and the other obviously still a communist. She's just disavowed communes is too extreme, but I'm sure she's a democratic socialist. She's fine with socialism so long as it gets voted in. Yeah. So there you go. There you go. So what do you think? That's too long an article. We're going to get into more later, but let me know what you think of Lauren Southern in the comments. So is this chick nothing more than a fake, a fraud, a phony, just your average, everyday, man-hating feminist who has done her darndest to hide her man-hate over the years, to try and hide her feminist ideology when it got down to, you know, where rubber meets the road, where she had to live by the same beliefs that she even now claims to hold? No, because even myself as a traditional conservative woman can't make it work. Because the problem is the traditional conservative relationship that's only worked for 6,000 years or so. It's only worked for 6,000 years. It only got us through the last ice age where the human population was whittled down to, many scientists believe, less than 10,000. It got us through hard times. It got us through near extinction. It got us through 6,000 years of recorded history. But somehow, it stopped working in the past 60 years ago, right around the same time that feminism and sexual liberation and the birth control pill were initiated in heavy use. And beliefs changed, and somehow now it don't work, even though it worked well beforehand. So she's just a feminist. You heard it yourself. Marriage, traditional conservative marriage, it's a prison. She said as much. It doesn't work. I tried to make it work. If I can't make it work as great and wonderful and traditionally conservative as I am, the institution just doesn't work. So there you go, guys. This is why you need to go overseas. Passport bro it, Philippines, Thailand, some crappy asshole third world country where she's actually going to appreciate what you bring to the table. She's going to be traditionally conservative. Go there, stay there, move there, have kids. Forget these Western women chameleons because they are no good. But let me know what you think in the comments. Please like and subscribe to my YouTube channel, if you would, and give me a thumbs up. And on that note, I'm out of here. Take care.